Hola, mi gente, and welcome back to another episode of Sazon
Whoop
Talk.
whoop. Have you guys? What have you been up to? Fast forward. Thank you guys that have listened to episode 25, which was the Never Have I Ever episode. And then episode 26, which is about what's your preference, what's your age limit. But thank you guys so much for joining us. This episode is about boundaries. How do we keep them? How do we create them? What do they look like after, post, pre-post, during, post relationships, and et cetera, et cetera, et
Yeah.
cetera. I was trying to find a really interesting way to how to introduce the topic. I was just like,
Yeah, because
girl,
I mean, we
don't
were
know.
texting. I think we've done a boundaries episode, but this one is different in the sense of, you're in a relationship and I'm not in a relationship.
The roles have reversed, ladies and gentlemen. I don't listen. I tell people all the time. I look at all of my friends, like my inner circle, like Jericho, and I'm like, how the fuck am I the only one that's not single? The fuck is going on here? Of all people, which is wild because we just got 1 year in 365 days, which is accomplishment. It's probably the second longest commitment I've ever done within the last 5 years. So clap, clap, bravo. Outside of the podcast is like, you know how like they say Raw is like the longest episodic TV show. Job Chase podcast is the longest commitment I've
ever
had.
The longest relationship you've had.
Yeah, in a long time, long time. But yeah, the roles are reversed. But once again, it's still things that go on that still, I think, both affect us as individuals. And also too, just from the past too, because I didn't think about it until actually just now, when we were talking about it in pre-production, how we wanted to talk about the topic. I thought about it and I said I went through the same thing because I went to college with an ex.
Okay.
So like he actually entered himself into my group of friends at college, and then we all became friends. And then also too, like, his set of friends from the block and from the hood, and we became close and cool. So like it's always that weird whose side are you on?
Yeah.
It's weird, and it happens, and you really
when
don't
you're a
want people to
person like
decide.
me, you kind of feel like, I know I put myself in a lot of situations. And because, this brain of mine doesn't always fully function like a normal person.
There is no such thing as normal.
No.
I'm here to tell you.
I have a shirt that says, me, weird, always. Because that's definitely me. Because that would be boring if I was normal.
There is no such thing as normal, though.
But I felt that it was important to talk.
Okay.
Because it does happen not only in our friendships, but I'm pretty sure in other relationships too, where, you are in a relationship and, your friends become their friends. And it's just kind of like, okay, we're not together anymore. So do I talk to this person? Do I stay friends in this group? Because my whole thing was just like, and I told you this earlier, that I didn't know if I wanted to be part of the circle anymore.
Correct. So, well, for all intents and purposes, we'll call them the inner circle, because it's like all of us, we have our own chat, we do things together. So we're just gonna label it the inner circle, it's just easier for the ears and for understanding the level of like friendship and all that jazz. So
yes. So but yeah, like I said, like I just felt like everybody was just his side.
On one side.
His side,
Which ain't the truth.
I was an additional because, he was part of the inner circle already, and then I kind of got added to it. So I was just like the extra seasoning. But then after a while, it's just like, I shouldn't add too much of this season type of thing.
No, you can't take away the seasoning because it's bland. Duh.
Well, when you put too much salt, te sale salado. So
Just add some gravy to it and just balance it out. You just have to end up, and I think
you
that's
can't add gravy to rice like that. It's so if you do too much, it's too much.
no.
That's
There's
allowed. That's it.
no. There's a way though to make something not as salty though. You can
No, yeah.
add something, but no. I say that in terms of finding a balance because that's essentially
Mhm.
what it is. It's you finding a balance between friends and
Yeah.
relationships and how and when they make sense for everyone involved. Because that was your question. Because you were just like, well, how how does it work for you and Mikey? And it was just and when I thought about it, to be honest, I outnumber friends in the friends department than he does.
Right.
By far.
Mhm.
Where he's very his inner circle is like probably the number of fingers I have on one hand.
Mhm.
And luckily, and I think also too his age plays a part in it because he's older, even though he looks black don't crack, but he is older.
Mhm.
So he just doesn't like the older. They always say that saying, the older you get, the smaller your circle gets type of
Yeah.
thing. So yeah, he doesn't even really like people to begin with. So that was always my hesitant actually introducing him to the inner circle, but more or less the inner circle for me is like family. So
Mhm.
like as people, that you go through in life and you're like, I want you to meet my mom, I want you to meet my dad, I want you to meet my family. For me, the test is I want you to meet the inner circle. Because if
Right.
you can survive all these niggas, then you can survive. You could do well.
Yeah.
And I think that was the same token for you. Was just like if everybody's welcoming and everybody is here, then you're just as a part of us than the original member of
Right.
that inner circle part. But what are some boundaries you feel like could have been in place post the the breakup?
Um, I don't want to give too much because I promised I wasn't gonna give too much information of certain things. But I felt like things happened very fast,
Yeah.
and it was kind of like the timing wasn't right.
The time it was around all y'all niggas' birthdays. And y'all
Yes,
know
so
that's
that's why I was just like
and,
the timing
and
wasn't.
everybody that knows
So
us knows.
because of course after celebrations were over, we needed some space.
Mm-hmm.
We we're very good friends now. We talk and we respect each other's space
Mm-hmm.
and each other's boundaries. I'm not going to overstep him, he's not going to overstep me. And as people who have been to the bar have noticed that I don't really go to the bar as often. And it's just people are used to seeing us together.
Right, but now they gotta deal
We have
with.
to go back to, we had to remember, because for people that don't know, Jay and I have been friends since high school.
Yeah.
So we're trying to find how can we just be friends again without being the way that we were for such a long time.
Which takes time.
Yes. So that's why I give my space, because I don't want him to feel like he can't go to the bar. You understand what I mean?
But
He's always, don't get me wrong, I love wrestling, but I know he loves wrestling more. You understand? And so, like, he knows more of it. I just kind of be like, okay. Like, I watch it. I understand it because I've been watching more often. I've been watching NXT more. I've been watching AEW more. So I'm just like, oh, okay, I get it. But even, like, now that AEW is new to me, I just don't know certain people's names, too.
Yeah.
So, like, when I'm talking to my friends about wrestling, because I do have other friends that watch wrestling, too.
I was sitting here like, where they at? Because they ain't been at the bar.
Yeah, like my cousin.
Oh,
and
well,
my
your
cousins
cousin,
come
yeah.
to the beer. So, like, I'll talk to my cousin. I'll talk to my brother about it. My brother doesn't do bars. He's not a drinker. Even though he knows he can just go, but it's just a family history thing that he doesn't want to fall down that line.
Yeah, no, my mom's actually the same way.
Yeah.
So I get it.
So, but like, like talk to my brother and stuff like that. And so they kind of give me information. And even like Jay was saying, listen to the Jabba Tears podcast because you'll learn.
Thank
And
you,
I've actually
G-Plug.
I've learned a lot, like, listening to you guys, too.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad somebody does, cause girl, I'm the worst. I don't listen to anything. Like, just
Yeah, I know
I
you
record and then I'll be like, all right, bye. So
Yeah,
there was
like,
somebody
when I can
mentions it to me, I'm
remember-
like, what?
When I haven't listened to podcasts in a while, but I'm gonna get back into it because I also feel like it's gonna help with our topics. I listen to other podcasts that I'm not gonna say their name because we gotta support each other. If you say our name, then I'll say your name. But whatever. um, but yeah, like so, I left the bar stuff because of him. Like I wanted him to feel comfortable that he can go there. But don't get me wrong, I will pop up eventually. I do my my show ups randomly. But also it's also hard because some days I'm working. So not that it works out, but it works out. You know what I mean?
Listen, I'm a firm believer of what God won't put you in a position that you can't get through or that you don't that won't make you uncomfortable.
Yes.
Like, so I say that because when me and my ex from college, which is right now we're cool. Like we will DM memes and videos and like we like because it's important just in any relationship to have that friendship foundation because that actually is kind of the saving grace in certain breakups and certain times where you can break up with somebody and if y'all not really was friends like that in the beginning, it's no real loss outside of the relationship, but like you didn't lose. Like I always said when me and my ex from college broke up, I said I lost my best friend and I lost my boyfriend, and to have both, it was like to lose both was a double whammy.
Yeah, because even like there's times that like I built up a lot of stuff inside. I don't really talk. I had not that I wanted to stop therapy, but I had a student. And so her time ended in July. And so pretty much ever since, she's no longer with me, I just kept everything inside. And a lot has happened since me and her have ended our session.
Right.
And so I just kept building everything in. And then every day I'm just like, I can't wait for therapy to start all over again because I'm just going to lay this all on them, whoever it is. But I've already made it known, like, I don't want a student anymore because I just created such a bond with her that I started crying when it was, like, our end. And she cried,
You
too.
had separation issues, girl. But no, I say that in going back to God won't put you in certain positions that he know you can't go through. And it's mysteriously how the world works. So once again, me and my ex broke up from college. And that summer, summer had came. I was out here in these streets like nothing. But I still was like super sad and super just like I was so lost. I'm not gonna hold you. I was lost because that had been my leaning stone for like 6 years. Like that was all. Like he was all that I knew.
Right.
So fast forward summertime, Labor Day weekend, Made in America. I love this story because it actually that day proved to me God works. So we moved on, and it is what it is. I haven't talked to him, seen him, none of that. So I was just like, and we live in the same city, and New York City is small, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody knows somebody. So I went to Made in America with one of my good friends from college. We went for the weekend to Philly, and it was the year Beyonce had a headline because we was just like, yo, we gotta go see B. So we went down, and literally, because that was the summer after we all graduated. Literally every person we bumped into from college was there. Literally, left and right. We were just like, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? What are you doing here? Like, it was crazy. I felt like it was St. John's fucking reunion. So literally bumped into every single person that I knew from college. And then the last day, we went to Made America. We didn't stay for the headliner because I think Foo Fighters was night 2, and we were just like, yeah, no, we're good on that. So then the next morning we left. We went back to New York, and my homegirl's on Instagram, and she sees my ex, and she sees pictures of him from Made in America. I said, "Oh," and she's like, "Yeah, he was there with a whole girl." I said, "Oh," and a part of me was like, "Okay, you moved on, nice." I'm pissed. But then I'm like, see, God works because God didn't put you. When I tell you, I literally saw every single person I knew. I saw them except for him, and I said that was God's way of saying, I'm gonna protect you for this weekend, and I got you. Yeah. So you don't gotta worry about that part. So because I had no idea he was going or he was there. Like I hadn't spoken to him since we broke up. So I don't. We see. So I get the time in terms of space that's needed. Because I didn't talk, like, me and him didn't have a real adult conversation until maybe 3-4 years after we broke up. Now, I don't recommend letting that much time pass.
Yeah.
But it was necessary. He
Yeah.
had, he gone through what he went through. I was still trying to find myself and understand who I was. And I think, and it's harder when friends are involved because, with him, it was like I gained such another side of the family with his friends from either the block or from his school, from high school that he went with or things like that. And, I felt like I'm not only losing him, I'm losing everybody that fucks with him. But it's up to the friends, like, to just make that clear to both individuals. Like, I'm not picking sides. Like, I'm not doing, like, I love you and I love you. And I wanted that to be an important piece to say because to this day, one of his homegirls that I met through him, like, I went to her birthday party and stuff like that. Like, I met through him. Like, that's been one of my travel buddies within the last, like, 5 years. Like, we've gone away without him or, like, him not being involved and stuff like that. Like, so it's just not, like, everybody looks at relationships when you end them as a divorce.
Yeah. Taking the kids type of
yeah,
thing.
like, how is the separation going?
I mean, that's how it was when I went through my divorce. Because, like, he eventually told me, like, he felt like everybody was on my side. And in all reality, it wasn't. Like, even though because I continued to go to church at that time, so people saw me because me and him went to the same church. But, and honestly, every time I was there, they would always ask me, where's he at? They wouldn't ask me about me. Like, some people knew what I was going through, but they would still continue to ask about him, and it was just so highly annoying. And I needed, when I left my church, I needed that separation. Because they kept overpounding my boundaries because they kept asking me. And I was like, I don't want you. Like, I don't live with him anymore. I don't see him. I'm not with him. Like, stop asking me about him. So going back to what I was saying about the therapy was not so, like, maybe a month ago, I was just, like, overload. And, Dre and I were texting with it, stuff like that. And so he was like, you can always talk to me. And I was, like, appreciating him for that. But I had to set the boundaries because I felt like it's still new and I can't just pour my heart out to you because I don't want it to be a mixed signal or something.
Right.
So that's my boundary. Like, I can't, like, we're really good friends, but we don't overstep each other.
Which is important. And it's a part of like your healing process, like, in all honesty, because like I said, like, when you break up, it's a divorce, it's a death. It's a death, and you have to kind of pick up the pieces and figure, like, when you have like 100-piece puzzle on the fucking table, and you got to figure out where all these pieces go now, because now the puzzle done fucking blew up in front of you. Like, that's basically, for me at least, that's how that comes off. So, but in terms of, like, the whole picking sides and shit, like, I just don't, like, if I fucks with you, even though you, like, for instance, for you example, like, even though you were coming in as a +1, you don't represent a +1. And I think it's important that that said, like, it's not like I can say for me, because I can't speak for everybody else. I never looked at it. It's better to not look at the person as the person's +1. Like, you are your own individual. You have your own thoughts, your own ideas, your own dreams, your own aspirations. And I think that helps with the balance, in terms of even with my relationship now, because he's not one, and it's just because of how he is. He's not the buddy kind of guy. He's not like
I could understand what you were saying about Mikey with his, because I don't have a lot of friends either. And it's just because I've just been through a lot. I think we spoke about this when we were talking about friendships and stuff like that. But I've just gone through so many things with people in general that my number of friends are probably in one hand or so. So I totally get it. And that's why because at one point, like, I remember when Dre and I were together, we spoke about, like, having friends outside of the circle. He was saying it's okay to go out with, people that are not part of the group. And I'm just like,
when you be taking pictures of Instagram and shit, be like, where my invite at? The fuck? But it's important to have those. Like you have
Yeah.
different sets of friends for different things, and it's okay not to mix them both. Like
Right.
and
Like we definitely need to do another girls' night. Like me, you, and Britt. Like me and Britt had our weekend this past Saturday,
that I didn't get invited
and
to pumpkin picking and shit.
and it felt really good
No, that's good.
because I needed it. You know, I was. It's just been a lot that we was going. Like, you know, I think we're both were just going through a lot of things, and you know, we rented a car, and I drove us to New Jersey, and we had such a great time.
No, yeah, she was telling me about that earlier. I was like, where the fuck was my invite?
Because we were gonna invite you, but then I was like, I know she works Saturdays.
Yeah, no. Listen, I'm working on it. Ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen, I'm working on no, but it's the same way of like I know, not saying there are people, but I know like when me and Danny go on our adventures, that people be like,
Where's my invite?
Where's my invite? Because you know, but once again, you have friends for certain things and
Yeah.
different things that works. Like for me and her, we can travel together and always have each other's back, and it'll be like what in 2 weeks we're going to Chicago for the weekend. Just because I wanted to go to Grits and Biscuits. Like, she was just like, oh, well, I'm out. I was like, well, then come on in. But it's important to definitely have friends outside of your inner circle, whether it's the group of friends. What's the biggest lesson you've learned post breakup with boundaries, or what boundary would you like to see implemented? Because that's also a thing too. Like,
I'm gonna have to say, because I've started to learn about boundaries when me and my ex separated, me and my ex-husband. And now that I've grown a lot, I have to say that the whole separating your, like, cuz like one of the main things that him and I were talking about was that at the end of the day we work together. We can put things on the side, and you know, he helps me when I do Sazon sessions. And so like even if I was mad at him or anything, we're able to push that to the side and focus on business.
absolutely.
Not that I've gotten, I mean, like maybe one or two times, but like, and he's gotten mad at me too. But you know, like I said, we were able to push our feelings to the side and like say, you know, he'll talk to me about like, hey, like, what do you want to do with this on sessions? Do you want to continue it and stuff like that? And then I kind of elaborate some like ideas for shirts and stuff like that. Like we talk business, you know. So like I'm saying, like in our when it's our past relationship and our business, we know how to separate them both.
And not everybody can do that.
Yeah.
But it's important to. But also just kind of sometimes keeping things separate. Like I'm
Yeah.
super selfish when it comes to me and mine. So I like us time, and I just think that's the best way at times to keep things balanced. Like we have cultivated like our own routines and our own schedules and what we like to do together. And you know, there's just once again those times where, you know, of course he's invited to things we do with our inner circle, and you know, everybody welcomes him with open arms and things like that. But it is important to have those boundaries, and also just as people not makes people feel like they have to choose. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not a child. I don't want to have to choose a parent. Like, I can have both. Like, what do you mean? Like, it's like having ice cream. It's like having vanilla and chocolate. And it's like, why the fuck can't I have both?
Yeah.
You know? So, but my hope and wish, though, we can maybe do a part 2. We don't have to be in studio for it. But part 2, but my wish and hope is that understanding and being clear about the boundaries that you were not even so much just things that you require. Like, I don't feel like talking about this, or I don't think I owe, like, you at the end of the day, none of you guys, especially when it comes to your relationship, none of you guys owe us an explanation. None of you guys owes us in the depth detail in regards to how things went down, but just saying like, this is what I require from my friends or from people that I consider my friends. That's okay.
Right.
So
Bloody
I
else.
think
that's
the gist. That's the time's up. Work and getting here. We can get an in-depth episode, but we will owe you guys another episode, promise. But as we said, we've hit number 25. We're proud of it. We thank you guys so much for supporting us in that journey. You guys can always DM Sazon Talk on Instagram with ideas, topics, guests, people you may want to get on to Sazon Talk. I know I owe 2.5 bros an episode.
We were gonna do our 25 with them, but
but life happens and niggas can't get it together. So,
The
but
times don't work.
maybe 30. Maybe episode 30. We'll do it in my house.
Oh, that would be good.
We'll see.
With
Because that'll be.
some drinks.
Yeah, something, a kickback. So we'll plan. We'll do something different. But once again, keep in mind of the boundaries your friends require, and it's okay to tell your friends like this is a requirement for me in order for us to have some type of respect and level of understanding. So be clear, be concise, and don't make your nigga shoes like any person and that's crazy. Damn, I didn't even get to talk about that. Cause my ex from Chicago, he got upset when his friends
definitely had to do a part 2.
His friends, he feels like his friends chose me and not him, and he definitely feels that way. And I had to explain to him, just real quick, I had to explain to him like it wasn't that I made them choose or they chose. It's just that I am who I am, and I'm very supportive. I'm very loving and caring, and if it rubs people the right way or the wrong way, it is what it is. But people get a better understanding of what a friendship requires. It requires both parties understanding and both parties being present.
Right.
And I think the friend that he was talking about realized that she needed people around her to be present for her. Not just say that I'm here or not just, listen, but being present matters too. But yeah, that nigga was tight. He still is tight. Who knows? But thank you guys for joining us. If you have similar stories, let us know. Let us know. Once again, different topics, different guests. We are open. Doors are open. All right. But as always, I am Janelle.
I am Amanda.
We thank you guys so much for joining us on this episode of Sazon Talk. Until next time.
Bye.